Aloha, Keoki here, and I'd like to talk story with you and introduce to you my first Hawaiian bandana design, Naku. Now, Naku is dedicated to the greatest Hawaiian warrior that unified the Hawaiian Islands, King Kamehameha I. During his battles in uniting the Hawaiian Islands, Kamehameha would invoke the Hawaiian god Kukailiamoku, snatcher of the islands. This Hawaiian god was called upon to give Kamehameha forces favor to win the battle. In battles, the statue of Kukailiamoku was held above by an appointed warrior. This bandana design is inspired by the Hawaiian god Ku. Ku's name means to stand, to strike, and rising upright. Ku is most associated as the war god Kukailiamoku, snatcher of the islands. As I read about Ku, there was many facets of this Hawaiian god. Ku and his wife Hina is believed to be from Kahiki or Tahiti. In prayers as ancestral gods of both heaven and earth, they were worshipped for the bountiness of the land and for future generations of the people. Both Ku and Hina are the ancestral parents of the Hawaiian people. A great number of early Hawaiian gods were given the Ku names and regarded as subordinate gods, worshipped by specific families or craft people, such as Ku'olono Va'o, Ku of the deep forest, Ku'ula, Ku of the abundant sea, Kumauna, Ku of the mountain, also Kukailiamoku, Ku, snatcher of the land, or Kunui Akea, Ku, the supreme one, or Kumoku Hali'i, the Kumu builder's god. This motif here and talisman symbol is a design that featured a combination of the Hawaiian god Ku with weaponry and makini. The center is represented by a Ku makini, a headgear worn by ancient Hawaiian warrior society or thought to be priests, with a kihei or a cloak worn over their shoulder with a set of rameni clips pattern. Flanked next to the makini is pololu or long spears. Below the kihei are a pair of shark-toothed daggers and a single knuckle duster below it. Outside the pololu is my representation of the Hawaiian god Ku, and rimmed on the outside circle is a niho pattern pointing outwards, are based on the wayfinding navigational term circle of horizon. I was first drawn to the makini design when I started my new Hawaiian designs, then the kihei, the weaponry, and the Hawaiian god Ku. In ancient Hawaiian history, it is thought that the makini were worn by a secret warrior society, or they were believed to be warrior priests. The helmet is made of gourd, tufts of sedge called uki, and strips of tapa hung from the lower edge of the gourd, as you can see in the example here. The kihei, or cloak, design is based on stamp designs used to adorn on tapa. The weaponry and the Hawaiian god Ku associated with this design reflects my first understanding of Ku as Kukailiamoku, also known as the Eater of the Islands. The weaponry is a reminder of Kukailiamoku as a symbol of brutal warfare when King Kamehameha united the Hawaiian Islands. This design of the Hawaiian god Ku in this design is based on a double-crested variation of Kukailiamoku. The outer rim circle with the niho pattern pointing outwards represents the navigational term circle of horizon used in wayfinding navigation that surrounds this design. Now these next several bands represent stories of Hawaii and also my own interpretation of what it meant to me. This is a niho manu pattern. It represents recognition. There's an ancient Hawaiian story about a woman swimming along the shoreline when her amakua, a family god, in the form of a shark had bit her. She called out its name and it let her go. From then on, the amaku would recognize her by the bite marks on her ankle. This was one of the first stories I had known about and read about ancient Hawaii that left an impression and became the first design border. The squares represent the Amaku's eyes. This next band, the Lahala design, offers a welcome as well as recognizing the versatility and use of this resource. Lahala was made from the native pandanus tree and is a natural resource that was used in many facets of daily living, from sails for canoes, baskets to transport food, or as mats and pillows to lounge, and even hats. When I think of the Lahala plant, my first thoughts are the mats made by this plant. I would imagine mats being placed in households to invite people to sit and enjoy each other's company, or for gatherings for prayers and blessings. This next symbol here envelops several meanings. The two outer band designs here represents the mana of Ku. Within the design, two inner variations of Niho patterns. One represents the many physical faces of Ku, and the other the spiritual flow of prayers from earth to heaven, and the mana raining down from heaven to earth. This design pattern started individually. Its position is significant because it unites all four Ku Makini symbols. Now, mana is a spiritual and powerful experience for the Hawaiian culture. It's tied to every facet of everyday life, to praise and thanksgiving to their ancestral gods, from morning to the setting of the sun. Ku is worshipped from the ocean to the mountain, and many subordinate gods in between in common households, such as craftsmen, chiefs, common households, tuhe'als. The bold alternating Niho pattern represents the many faces of this Hawaiian god Ku. The single row, or let's start with the double row here, represents the offerings and prayers to the Ku gods. And the single row here represents the flow of mana from Ku and his subordinate gods, completing a cycle between the heavens and earth. This next band here represents Ku'ula, abundance of the sea. To this day, the sea is a major resource of food for the Hawaiians and the islanders. Through restrictions or the kapu system, the ancient Hawaiians were able to sustain their fishing through size, selection, and from the time of the year to ensure there would always be a bounty of fish from year to year. It also represents the vastness of the sea or the ocean and the rising to the setting of the sun, moon, and stars. This next band design here represents the flat representation of the circle of horizon, a non-instrumental navigational term used in traditional Polynesian wayfinding. The rising and the setting of the sun, moon, and stars are also meant certain times for certain prayers and offering to the Ku gods. As I continue to read about Hawaiian mythology and all the Hawaiian gods, Ku had a substantial population of followers. Ritual and offerings to all the Ku gods followed the seasons. The rising and the setting of the sun, moon, and planets dictated when it was acceptable and restricted throughout the year to sow, harvest, and celebrate. This celestial sphere is a representation of the seasons of Ku. Finally, this inner design here represents the stars in heaven. The stars at night were another indicator throughout the year that meant the coming of the seasons and ritual prayers to the Hawaiian god Ku. Now, the Naku design bandana here has been an adventure of adventure, yes, of discovering and understanding of the Hawaiian culture I grew within. Naku is my first original Hawaiian bandana design. The makini emerged before any other design through a friendship with Kaiola Outrigger Canoe Club in Kauai. Naku is an influence of ancient as well as contemporary art, much like the hui that accepted me here in Monterey, Kekai O'uhani. The final design is an accumulation of Hawaiian history and culture, as well as my own experience over the years in the Hawaiian Islands. Naku design and the kinolau and the many faces of Ku is meant to respect this ancient Hawaiian god. Ku was the most worshipped ancient god, especially in the island of Hawaii, or the Big Island, out of the four major gods, or the Hawaiian gods, that is, Kani, Kanaloa, Ku himself, and Lono. I hope you enjoyed this story of my Hawaiian bandana design, Naku. Mahalo, and thank you.